Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Sten Reacts. Today I'm going to be reacting to the new, maybe not so new efforts to build turning point chapters in Rhode Island following the assassination of its founder and leader, Charlie Kirk, a few months ago. Turning Point is making the news across the country. Turning Point chapters are popping up or have already popped up in high schools and colleges alike here in Rhode Island. A few weeks ago, I did an interview with a young woman who's trying to get a chapter started at Rhode Island College. She's been facing some resistance. It's still an ongoing process, and we'll be updating that story soon. You may have heard about the incident in Barrington following Charlie Kirk's assassination. One of the teachers there, basically on social media and in public statements, cheered, said Charlie Kirk deserved it, and he was suspended. That was because of the local Turning Point fledgling chapter that was, I'm not sure if it was ongoing or was about to get going in that Barrington High School in Rhode Island. Since then, that teacher has been reinstated. I'm going to be hoping to be interviewing some of those Turning Point chapter leaders at that high school soon. Overall, our Ocean State Current, my reactions, my dugout show, we will be covering as much Turning Point action, Turning Point USA activities as we can in this state. It is important that young people in this state understand the reality of the concept of American liberty and freedom and limited government and God, and not get caught up in all the false narratives pushed by the left. And most importantly, as Charlie Kirk exemplified, that when we do differ on those opinions, we can have civil and honest and thorough conversations without looking at the other person as an enemy. They might be our opponent politically, but we're all Americans here. All right, let's get that straight. And that's what Turning Point USA is starting to develop and work on, and why I think it's such a great and wholesome thing. Today, I'm going to be reacting to interviews conducted by Karen Iacobbo, one of our Ocean State Current great videographers. She caught up with some of the attendees at a Turning Point USA event that was held just before Thanksgiving at Cranston West High School. Here is the flyer for that event. All right, it featured a speed skater, believe it of all places, from America, named Anthony Watson, but he was in the Olympics. He's a conservative, apparently, and he was the featured speaker at this Cranston West Turning Point event that was held the week before Thanksgiving. Karen Iacobbo caught up with some of those attendees, the organizer of that event, as well as some of the other co-organizers. You're going to hear from them, and I'm going to react to them. You should note that I have also made contact with Turning Point USA New England leaders, both for the colleges and it's another person for the high schools, and I expect we'll be having them as our guests regularly to update us on Turning Point USA chapters being established in the state of Rhode Island and in our schools, both at the university, college, and at the high school level. But today we're going to react to the attendees at the Cranston West event. Now, we sent our videographer, our main video editor and technician, Adam Carbone, Adam the Annihilator, as you may know him, out to Cranston West to cover the event. He was told he couldn't take any film of the event. So Adam parked himself outside the auditorium just to talk to attendees. He was also told he couldn't do that either. And apparently that was the agreement between the Club America, Turning Point USA affiliated chapter at Cranston West, and between the school, that there'll be no video on campus. Why? I don't know, but apparently that was the agreement. So Adam had to pack up his gear and go home, basically. But Karen Iacobbo, who I mentioned earlier, caught up with many of the attendees that next week at an event, I believe, in Warwick, and and we're going to go through those interviews, about 9 minutes of interviews. I'll cut in every now and then with a few comments, but I think it's important that you, other students throughout this state, parents, see and hear the enthusiasm and the honesty and the goodwill of these people you're about to hear from, young people, and why we need so much more of that in this state. So let's go to the video and let's watch. And first up, we're going to hear from the organizer of the event at Cranston West. He's the leader of the Club America Turning Point USA chapter. His name is Ryan Goldich. Let's hear from Ryan.
My name is Ryan Goldich, and I'm the club president of Club America at Cranston West. So Club America is a high school wing of Turning Point USA, which is a national organization that promotes conservative principles in high schools and college campuses. And we founded in April, and we're here to promote conservative values at our high school, Cranston West. So far, we've been extremely successful. We've had great conversations, great meetings, great events, featuring Anthony Watson last Wednesday. And
so I think you heard that he said that their chapter was established last April. So it was before the assassination of Kirk. We know a lot of new chapters have been set up since then, but this one's been going on. Now, this guy, as I understand, is only like 14 years old, and he's already leading a chapter at Cranston West. Great job, Ryan.
That event was amazing. We had a former Olympic athlete and now a motivational speaker by the name of Anthony Watson. He is a Turning Point USA contributor, and he worked and he was in the Olympics. He competed in the 2017 Winter Olympics for Jamaica for the sport of skeleton. And we had the opportunity to host him at our high school. It was an amazing event. He talked about the importance of being a leader and finding purpose and strength through faith throughout life.
And what about the aftermath? So like days after that, did you get comments from students about it?
Yeah, we got a lot of comments from students.
By the way, that voice you heard is Karen Iacobbo. So thanks again, Karen.
We've got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people have expressed how much they were grateful to be there and how much Anthony's words has inspired them to continue to strive in promoting their own personal values and promoting conservative principles, and just to hear the inspiration. We had people from both sides of the aisle there while we're conservative.
Again, that's important. Democrats are welcome to come, Republicans, conservative, liberals, anybody is invited to come to these Turning Point events. And let's just talk things through. Let's try to see if we can figure out what the truth is or what the different perspectives are and talk about it in a mature way. And these are young people doing very mature things. I'm very impressed so far.
Conservative organization, we had people who identified as Democrats, people identified as Republicans, and everyone in between. And they all told me great things about the event because Anthony's words aren't partisan. They're inspirational, they're motivational, and that's what we need. Yeah, I'd like to add about our club.
Yes, young people need inspiration. They need hope. They don't need political partisanship right now, but they need to understand the founding principles of liberty in this nation. Our Rhode Island Department of Education wants to teach kids. You've heard us talk about this many times. They want to teach kids that America's founding principle was one of oppression, that America was founded so that the elites could oppress others. America's founding principle is liberty, and I'm sure and it's faith in God, and I'm sure that's what you'll be hearing more from these young people in just a minute.
At Cranston West, and we invite all students, regardless of perspective, to join. We had our last meeting yesterday. We talked about capitalism and socialism. It was a great meeting, and overall our purpose is to promote conservative values at Cranston West and also to encourage more critical thinking, especially in the youth. And what our end goal is, the end goal of Club America at Cranston West, is to foster more civically minded students and to engage within their local communities.
I'm Vice.
Wow. All right. Before we go to our next speaker, Luciana here, what great words from a young man like that. Promote conservative values. We have candidates. We have Republican candidates, one who recently declared for governor, who said he wants to be a compassionate conservative, as if there's anything wrong with this straight out conservatism. Conservatism is compassionate because conservatism is based on freedom, is based on liberty. Freedom of choice to make our own decisions, not government making decisions for us. Conservatism is the most compassionate. You don't need to qualify it. Candidates in Rhode Island who think you need to be Democrat light in order to get by in this state. Conservatism creates the most prosperity and freedom and opportunity of any political philosophy ever devised by man. It may not be perfect. It's liberalism that creates the problems. It's big government that intrudes on our freedoms and tamps down our potential for prosperity. There is no need to qualify conservatism. Conservatism works. Compassionate conservatism is a cop-out. It's somebody who has no idea what they're talking about. And you're going to hear that from a gubernatorial candidate this election period. And it's very, very sad. I'm sorry. All right, let's go on and let's go to Luciana Cipolla.
President of Club America at Cranston High School West.
The end goal of Club America at Cranston West is to foster more civically minded students and to engage within their local communities.
I'm Vice President of Club America at Cranston High School West. Last week we were incredibly blessed to host Anthony Watson. He's a motivational speaker, former Olympian. He talks about the 18-inch battlefield between our heart and our head, focusing on emotions and what that means when we bring it to logic. The 18-inch battle. Vice President of Club America at Cranston High School West. Last week we were focusing on emotions and what that means when we bring it to logic.
The 18-inch battlefield between our hearts and our head. That is very profound. And that's true. Conservatism is based on logic. Liberalism is based on emotion. And that's the battle we go through. Well, it just doesn't feel right. Or wouldn't it be nice? And those are the battles we all have to face. And this is what they're talking through at these turning point chapters. That's a new one on me. I really like that one. The 18-inch battlefield between our hearts and our head. Wow.
He also talks about the laziness that has overcome our country and our generation and our world.
And he's right. I'm sorry. Liberalism is lazy because it sounds good, because it feels good. Everybody wants to vote for it. That's why communism appears to be popular and can win elections, but communism doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. As good as it sounds, it appeals to our emotions, but logically and in reality and historically, it just does not work.
It's influenced us to be less creative, less innovative, and less determined to succeed. It's really about spreading a message, and that message comes down to faith, freedom, and family. It's a message that we're determined to spread with everyone. We want everyone to find the same inspiration through Anthony's speech and through our club to seek similar things in their life. We had a lot of community members outside of the students that were also very interested and very thankful. They had a lot of nice things to say about how Anthony changed some of their perspectives with things from the left and from the right, and we were very blessed to have them there and Anthony as well. There's a lot of students that have come to our meeting afterwards, and we're very thankful. Our time on earth is limited, so we really want to focus on spreading this message to as many people as we can. Family is important, faith is important, freedom is important. Those are principles that we want to fight for in our daily life.
Let me go back to that. Like God commands us and Christ commands us, for those of us who are Christian, it's our job to spread his word, in a sense, to be a disciple in that regard. Well, what Luciana was saying there is true also. As conservatives, we have to fight for our freedoms because the left is continually trying to take them away from us. And it's our job to spread the word of freedom, similarly to what you might do in a spiritual or biblical or religious sense. So it's great to see these young people. That's two young people. Here's a third coming up. This is Joseph Ioniti, and he will tell you who he is.
Vice Chair of the Cranston Young Republican City Committee, and what we did was we just volunteered at the event. I think it was a great event. Anthony Watson had a lot of great things to say, and what he said was what Gen Z needed to hear, how we all need to step up, not be lazy. And
what Gen Z needed to hear: don't be lazy, think about it, debate with people, attend Turning Point USA events, think about it, don't be lazy, and let the easy sounding free for everybody, free everything for everybody message sway you because it's a false narrative.
Do our best.
I'm the chair of the Cranston Young Republican City Committee.
This is Jessica Gomes. Jessica has her own show here on the Ocean State Current, and you can do that. You can watch that by going to the top of oceanstatecurrent.com and select watch, and then from the drop down there you can find her show.
We've been working with the
which by the way is called Let's Go, Let's Grow.
America Kids for quite a few months now. They've been very actively involved with the Cranston City Committee. They've joined us as part of the Young Republicans in the City Committee.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
So before we get to Anthony here, Jessica is a young single mom who's been involved in both Cranston and Providence city politics, or city political committees, I should say. And she, like I said, she has her own show. She's a real future star, I think, in this state. Now, here is Anthony Milo, I believe, would be the way to say it. I don't know Anthony, but interesting, as you'll hear.
With the Cranston City Committee, they've joined us as part of the Young Republicans in the City Committee.
Hi, my name is Anthony Melillo. I'm currently the Vice Chairman of the Cranston Public School Committee, and I am also the Vice Chairman.
So, Republican, Vice Chair of the Cranston School Committee, praising the Turning Point USA event at Cranston West. This is good. I've got to meet this guy.
Of the Republican City Committee in Cranston. I did attend the Anthony Watson lecture, and he did a great job inspiring the youth in Cranston to stick to their beliefs and stay with their beliefs. And I think that was a great message, and spread love. And I think that they're doing that. This is a great organization, and I think they're heartbeat of the future of Cranston.
I mean, what is wrong with this message? Spreading love, having open, honest debate, having faith in God. That's the Charlie Kirk message. That's a Turning Point USA message. Somebody please tell me what's the matter with that peace on earth kind of message.
Thank you.
I was at the...
Now, this is Nyoka Powell. She attended the event as well. We've had Nyoka on in the Dugout show. She is also someone who's been involved in Providence and City Committee, and she's run for state Senate. She's been involved in the state Republican Committee. And she's also a mom of a lovely young daughter, and married to the next person you're going to see, who's also been very involved as an advocate and activist in our state. But here's Nyoka Powell.
The Club America event hosted by Cranston West. The students there were very excited to host an event on their campus that was truly about culture, qualities, morals, and just God. It was really great.
Just God. Nice.
To be a part of it, because the speaker, Anthony Watson, was such an inspiration, and I'm so happy that we had a young man who was, from Jamaica, who was speaking about having moral grounds, and it was great to have such an influential speaker come to Rhode Island to speak with high school kids.
And overall, what was your impression of how the young people reacted?
They were very engaged. The young people were listening. They weren't fidgety. They weren't on their phones. It was great to see them really hone in on what he was saying and really engage in how he was communicating with them as young people. I would like to congratulate the students who developed their club, Club America, at the school in Cranston. And I just want to inspire them to continue speaking for themselves and continue to harbor these great qualities of conversation and learning how to speak about difficult subjects. So if anyone has a club that they want to start, we would just reach out to Armando. He's on Facebook, he's on X at Armando Roselle, or at RI Action or Action RI. So that's my hope for all the young kids coming out of school nowadays, is to make sure that they are able to speak up for themselves and not feel defeated.
Here's Armando. More on him in a second. Wow, listen to that. Let's replay that again from Nyoka. I think that was crucially important what she just said right there.
Are able to speak up for themselves and not feel defeated.
Speak up and not feel defeated. Yeah, we see it at so many schools. No, your conservative values don't matter here. No, you can't start a Turning Point USA club or something like that. My prior guest on In the Dugout, Natalie Davis, is still, after months and months, still trying to get approval of her chapter at Rhode Island College. And they want conservatives. They want those who don't go along with the big government far left agenda to feel defeated. Turning Point USA is here to give those students and all of us hope. I mean, I'm so hopeful to see these young people, Nyoka and everyone else we just heard, Jessica, Joseph, Luciana, Ryan, even Anthony Melillo, the school committee member, seems to be a young man. This is great to see this happening in Rhode Island. Like I said, you're going to see us cover it all right here on OceanStateCurrent.com. All right, let's go to Armando, who is right there, Nyoka's husband.
Mothers, daughters, wives, you guys have been fighting way too long. And I think it's time for us husbands to step in and finally fight right beside you guys. It is not fair that you guys have been fighting for our kids this long. This is one of the reasons why I stepped in.
I'm not sure who he's speaking with here. I'm going to guess it might be a Moms for Liberty event that I know was being held also the week before Thanksgiving. And that would be our friend Amy Rodriguez down in South County, Narragansett area. But either way, regardless who Armando is speaking to, it is true. There were a few exceptions. I mean, Bob Chiaradillo has been an absolute warrior, of course. But for the most part, since this whole COVID, what the hell are they teaching our kids kind of stuff? How are they trying to indoctrinate our kids? For the most part, it has been moms who have been speaking out, for the most part, not exclusively, speaking out. And Armando is right. It's time for we, the men, the husbands, the fathers, the grandfathers, the brothers, the nephews, or just concerned, patriotic American men to also pick up this fight, pick up our symbolic swords and go to the battlefront politically. No violence, of course, no putting down of people, but defending our conservative, constitutional, faith-based, God-based values. We're going to hear for a few more minutes here from Armando because he has a lot of good stuff to say. So let's get back to him.
I've seen way too much where nobody was.
And by the way, Armando runs Turning Point Action in Rhode Island. That's the more political arm of Turning Point. They'll get involved and get out to vote and voter registration kind of stuff, a little more on the political side, where the Turning Point USA chapters are nonpartisan and they just everybody's welcome to have a discussion. Armando is also the person who organized the question and answer table at the protest, the No Kings protest at the Rhode Island State House. We covered that last month as well. So Armando is very involved in all of this, but he's on a slightly different side of the Turning Point USA. He heads Turning Point Action here in Rhode Island.
Stepping in and you guys were doing all the work. My wife pretty much voluntold me
That's
to get involved with Turning Point.
Voluntold me.
And at that point, I started realizing this is where I belong. Because instead of getting angry all the time, I found a purpose. And that purpose was fulfilling. You take a look at Barrington, we took care of that. They messed with one of our own, we took care of that. And
He's referring to what I mentioned at the open. That Barrington High School teacher was exposed by those Turning Point USA chapter leaders at Barrington High School.
We're just getting started. I keep telling my team, we are getting started. We're going to work as many schools as possible, even to the point where we're reaching out to New England. It ain't going to stop at Rhode Island. And it's all in the hope of creating a better future for them. Because if you can't have an opposition that can have their own opinion, then what are we getting ourselves into? What a broken future. I don't want that. You guys don't want that. So we build this foundation until it becomes this massive castle where they can't take down. They can't take us down at this point because we know what our movement is involved. Then that's when we start to fight real hard. We start to fight harder, and we need to fight harder. And other men need to follow along to actually get encouraged to fight.
Okay, guys out there, gals out there, this is a call to action. And he's right, Armando. We all need to get involved in defending our freedoms and our constitutional and God-given rights. We all need to get involved, whether that's Turning Point, whether it's some other organization. We can no longer sit home and be silent because they're coming for us. And they're coming for your freedoms.
With us, which is why you'll start to see that there's more young men jumping in support of what we're doing. Just because at an event, I end up getting 5 additional members. One who was a custodian who realized that there was a Turning Point event came up to me and said, "What can I do to help?" That's all it took. The only thing that he was afraid of is the backlash. And I told him, listen, all I want from you is heart. Give me that, and I can promise you work.
And I can promise Armando that if his janitor friend, a new member of Turning Point, does face any backlash, we will expose it here on the Ocean State Current.
And I promise you, we get a lot of progress done. And then with that, all of a sudden, one after the other, even over at the YRs, wanted to get involved in what I was doing. Because I can see it in their eyes. They're tired of it. They're tired of no movement. They're tired of just watching things happen and no progress. But I'll promise them this, there will be progress. Because my team they're hungry, they're starving, and they want to see something to happen. They need to see encouragement. They need to see hope. And once they see that hope, all of a sudden they start coming in and helping us out. I've had so many phone calls and so many text messages that it's crazy.
So we'll end it there with the interviews and just a few final comments. Hope. Hope for our future, but also you heard recrimination. There is safety in numbers. Once students in school see that other Turning Point chapters are popping up, are standing up for themselves, standing up for their freedoms, joined by others, that you're not alone. That if you're conservative and your school has the environment where they want to punish you for being white or being wealthy or just being a conservative or being straight or whatever, for all the wrong reasons, there is pressure on you. And you're afraid to speak up, but when you have 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, dozens of others around you, when you see other people standing up, you feel other people supporting you, you will stand up more boldly and bravely in a nonviolent way, of course, for your values, for what you believe in, for what you know is right and best for this country. And Armando is right. I want to share with you Armando's Twitter page. It's Turning Point Action of Rhode Island. Armando ROS 48098. His last name was Rosell. And you know they've got a lot of information up there. Here's some photos from some of their events. Here's a photo from the Cranston West event. Some people outside the room. Here's a photo. Again, some of the attendees. Here they are getting set up in the Cranston West auditorium. So, and I also want to point out that on the Ocean State Current, we had an article promoting the event. And let me say that I did a search. No other media covered this. No other mainstream media. John DePietro talked about it, I believe, on his radio show. But no one else. This is a Turning Point USA event following the assassination of its founder, Charlie Kirk. They bring in a major speaker, a former Olympian, to a Cranston high school, and yet nobody but our Ocean State Current covers it. Well, that's my message. We're going to cover as much Turning Point USA, Turning Point action, as long as it stays nonpartisan, as we can. We want to inspire other potential chapter leaders, because remember, in schools, once the chapter leaders graduate, the club doesn't stay unless there's a new chapter leader. So we need a continuing revolving door of brave and bold. It's not, you don't have to be that brave or bold. You just have to be supported by others who will continue the message, who will continue the idea of honest and civil discourse, a true understanding of civics and American history and our birthright of liberty. And we want to contest those who believe that big government, that anti-God policies, that false narratives about our country, especially as we go into our nation's 250th anniversary, that false narratives about our country cannot be allowed to stand without some more accurate, pushback on that, and a more accurate representation of what the truth is. So, thank you so much to Ryan Goldich at Cranston West for organizing that event. Thank you to Luciana, Joseph, Jessica, Anthony, Nyoka, Armando for what you're doing. You're going to be hearing more from all of them, certainly from Nyoka and Armando. You're going to be hearing more from the New England leaders for both college and in high school. I've made contact with both of them. They're eager to come onto the show and tell us about how Turning Point USA is growing in our state. And the Ocean State Current, whether it's a Sten React show or in the dugout or an article by Larry the Liberty Guy, or more video from Karen and Adam, the Ocean State Current will be covering it. So thank you for tuning in to this kind of extended edition of Sten Reacts, but we believe this Turning Point initiative in Rhode Island is vital for our state, vital for future generations, because that's the political future of our state, is the younger generations. And to see them being inspired by Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA really is something I'm just so very, very happy to see. So again, all the episodes of Sten React, you can find it under the watch menu item at oceanstatecurrent.com. I thank you today for tuning in, and we'll see you soon, either on In the Dugout or on my next episode of Sten Reacts. Good day.